exact formula for a lot of equations. But once you hit the fifth degree or higher, that neat formula just doesn't exist. It's been a cornerstone of algebra for generations. But here's the kicker. What if that so-called impossibility wasn't some fundamental law of the universe? What if it was just a problem with the tools everyone was using at the time? To really get why this is such a huge deal, we've got to take a quick trip back in time and look at the history behind this supposedly impossible problem. So, way back in the 16th century, mathematicians were on a roll. They cracked the code for third and fourth degree equations. But then, they hit a brick wall, a big one. In 1824, a mathematician named Niels Henrik Abel proved you just couldn't do the same for the fifth degree and up. And for 200 years, that was it. Case closed. Until maybe now. So the crucial point here is this. Abel's theorem basically says there is no single one-size-fits-all formula using the simple tools, addition, subtraction, square roots, to solve these really complex equations. It pretty much drew a line in the sand for algebra and said, you shall not pass.
But why? Why did this wall stand for so long? What was it about these equations that made them seem so completely, fundamentally unsolvable? Let's break it down.
And this right here is the revolutionary idea at the heart of this new claim. The equation itself was never the problem. The real issue was that for 2 whole centuries, mathematicians were trying to unlock an incredibly complex door with a key that, just wasn't designed to fit. Now, what's really fascinating here is why the old tools failed. See, the internal symmetry of these equations, think of it as their deep hidden pattern, was just way too complex for the classical methods to handle. A key part of the calculation, called the discriminant, would just explode into millions of terms. It became completely unmanageable. So what did everyone do for 200 years? They settled for approximations. Really, really good guesses, but still just guesses, not exact answers. And philosophically, they just accepted it as a dead end. But now, a new theorem is here, and it claims to have built a brand new set of tools, ones that are actually capable of taking that wall down, piece by piece. The mathematician at the center of all this is Professor Murad Sultan Ez-Zuidi. He's put forward what he calls Ez-Zuidi's theorem, a method he claims can actually deliver the exact symbolic solutions that have been out of reach for centuries. And this chart just lays it all out so clearly. On the left, you've got the old way of thinking. Impossible, relies on guessing, just accepts the limits. But on the right, you have Ez-Zuidi's claim. Exact solutions, 100% verifiable accuracy, and a philosophical refusal to believe that any equation is truly unsolvable. It's a total shift in thinking. I love this quote. It really captures the entire spirit behind this work. It reframes Abel's theorem not as some permanent law of nature, but just as a historical milestone that was, waiting for someone to come along and surpass it. So, how in the world does this new method supposedly work? Let's take a look at the actual approach and see how it forges a brand new path to get to the solution. Okay, so instead of trying to find one single giant magic formula, this new method uses what's called a recursive process. It systematically calculates a series of coefficients, where each one kind of builds on the last one. This creates a chain of exact algebraic relationships that, at the very end, generates the precise roots of the equation. No guesswork involved. Zero. And this is the key takeaway right here. For 200 years, the best answer you could hope for might be something like, it's about 2.999, and you just have to live with that little bit of uncertainty. This new claim is about getting an answer that is, with 100% certainty, exactly 3. It's the difference between an estimate and the actual truth. So if, and it's a big if this claim holds up to review from the wider mathematical community, the implications are just enormous. We could seriously be looking at a brand new era for algebra. You see, this is about so much more than just one difficult math problem. If this is true, it fundamentally changes our understanding of what is possible. It redefines the very act of solving. It shifts the goal from just getting close, from approximation, back to absolute symbolic exactness. So why does this matter to anyone who isn't a mathematician? Well, this move from approximation to exactness could have huge ripple effects. Think about fields like cryptography, which literally relies on things being mathematically impossible, or complex physics and engineering models, where absolute precision is everything. This isn't just about rewriting textbooks, it's about unlocking a whole new level of precision for science and technology. Abel's theorem becomes a chapter, not the final word, and a whole new frontier opens up.
And that kind of leaves us with one final big thought. We've just seen how a totally new approach, a new set of tools, might challenge a truth that seemed unshakable for centuries. It really makes you wonder, right? What other problems that we all consider impossible today are just waiting for someone, somewhere, to look at them from a completely different angle?